Hello everyone, this is Graeme Anderson from Four Corners of the Board. Today I'm going to be looking at Kashgar, Merchants of the Silk Road. Now this game originally came out in German in 2013, so I never got a chance to play it, so I was happy when they came out with an English edition by Grail Games. Now the idea of this game is that you are sending out 3 caravans, of course, to make you points. You hire people into your caravan who will give you actions to take when they are leaders. And it's only the people that are leading the caravan are the ones that are making the decisions before they get put to the back of the caravan. Now this idea seemed interesting to me, so I figured I'd try it out. So what is it as interesting as I had hoped? Let's get to the table, see how it's played, then we'll come back for my final thoughts on Kashgar. Now there are several decks of cards in this game. There are start cards, standard cards, special cards, and order cards. You'll draw the first 4 order cards face up onto the table, and an extra Patriarch card is placed off to one side. Each player will receive 3 Patriarch cards, a player board with the appropriate markers all set to 3 for each resource, and a random set of 3 start cards. The start cards are placed behind the Patriarch cards. Now the game is played until one player has reached 25 points from fulfilling orders and cards in their caravan. On your turn, you'll either do a caravan action, perform a parting action, or pass, then you have the option to fulfill an order. For any of these actions, you will take the card at the front of one of your caravans and do the action on it. If you pick the caravan action, you'll activate the ability with a light background. If there is a cost associated with the action, it's going to be located to the left of the action text. You have to pay that first before you can perform the action. If you pick the parting action, you will perform the action with the red background and remove the card from play. Again, if there is a cost to this parting action, it will appear to the left of the action text. You must pay the cost of the action before you take it. If any of the cards have more than one parting action or caravan action, you can only perform one of the actions. If you do not want to take any of the actions, you can pass on the action. Note though that any card with an exclamation point cannot be passed on. You must select one of the actions. If you have taken any of the actions or decided not to take any of the actions with the card, you will always place it at the end of the caravan. Any cards obtained during the action are placed behind the one just activated. Once you have placed your card at the back of the caravan, you can now fulfill an order if you took either the caravan or parting action. You cannot fulfill an order if you take the pass action. The order card will show several requirements and rewards. This is the number of victory points this order is worth, how many mules you must have, this is the cost you must pay, and this is the reward, if any. Now you must have at least the number of mules listed on the left side of the card, but you do not lose those mules. But you must pay the resources across the bottom and adjust your resource card accordingly. Once paid, take the card and the indicated reward and place it in front of you, and replace the order card so that there are always 4. Play continues until one player has reached 25 points from their fulfilled orders and the cards in their caravans. The players will finish the current round, then the player with the most points is the winner. Let's get back to the table to see what I thought about Kashgar, Merchants of the Silk Road. So what do I think about Kashgar? Well, right off the bat, I'll tell you that I'm sorry this was not printed in English back in 2013. Now let's start with the theme and components. The theme does make sense within the game world. I mean, having whomever is leading the caravan at the time be the only person you can use may not make perfect sense, but you know what, it worked for me. The actions of the characters were tied to the characters themselves. For example, the animal breeder here. You can either sell a mule for money, or if you use the departure thing, he leaves behind 4 mules. I mean, it makes kind of sense. It may not be perfect theming, but I thought it worked well enough. As for the components, you know what? I really liked the little wooden pieces here. I'm glad they weren't just cubes. The art on the cards, you know, it's consistent with what I would expect for the time period. Now, since this game is all about the cards, the quality of them is good. I mean, they're not a linen finish, but they do slide under each other very well in the caravan. And all the cards are easy to understand, and they're well laid out. So what about the gameplay? Now, I ended up really enjoying this game. It's quick to teach and understand. You've got 3 choices in front of you. You pick one, perform the action, then see if you can fulfill a contract. Easy. There's enough randomness in the game, so you cannot pre-plan your game. There's some really good combinations, but you're probably not going to get them at the time you want them. It's a game where each turn you have to evaluate the current board state. Luckily, because the options are limited, I never felt the game really suffered from analysis paralysis. Now the game is going to come down to the quantity and quality and variety of the cards, and this is one aspect I kind of felt a little down for me. Once I had played the game once or twice, I've seen all the cards. And if you play this with 4 players, after a few plays, you've kind of seen all the cards in action. And honestly, most of the cards do very similar things. The whole game is about getting resources and using the resources to fulfill the orders. And the cards that manipulate your resources are some of the less interesting cards. But the other cards I found much more interesting. Getting points for how many cards are in the caravan, where the card is interesting. Or the cards that give you points for certain types of order cards. Those are the cards I found more interesting, but there were fewer of those, and I understand why. I can't really knock them for that, but I always found it more fun when those interesting cards came up. The special cards definitely change things up if you are able to get them. I did enjoy the decisions on where I want to play the cards as well. When you drew cards into your hand using the Patriarch or one of the other cards, and you saw the options, you know what, sometimes the one that gave you the resource for how many cards in the caravan looks great, but since they go to the back of the caravan, we'll be able to use them before the game is over. Do you go for one large caravan, or do you try and spread out the characters over the entire caravan? I like these types of simple decisions that you had to make. Looking at the time left in the game and determining which cards fit this stage of the game was enjoyable. But finally, that brings up one negative thing to the game, and that's the points. You need to be watching what everyone has, because as soon as someone gets 25 points, the game ends at the end of that round. Now, since you get points from different areas like order cards and character abilities, you need to be calculating your points almost after every turn in the middle of the game. Now, there is an expansion in the box called the Cut and Thrust expansion, which adds some player interaction through 12 cards. You know what? Because the base game really has no player interaction. I would say that I felt that Cut and Thrust didn't work well for 2 players, but for a higher player count, it's definitely something to add to the game. So all in all, I enjoyed this game. It only lasts about 35 to 45 minutes and can be a little repetitive in what you're doing, but I didn't have a problem with that. So I would recommend this game if you're looking for a lighter game to play that is easy to teach, has very little downtime, and offers some meaningful decisions to be made on your turn. I thoroughly enjoyed the plays of this one. That's Kashgar, the Silk Road Merchant. And that's it for the moment. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.